welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this call. This is the second one in our series of peer learning sessions in the Innovative Manufacturing in Africa project for 2024. This is coming under the Business Models Capacity Building Package, and the idea is to have these small group discussions on topics that particular makerspaces have got expertise in and are able to sort of share some learnings and good practices with others, and to hear from all the makerspaces in the cohort about their experience on certain topics. Now, today's episode is on building partnerships, and the discussion is going to be led by Nelson Sekgota of TMG Makerspace in Johannesburg, South Africa. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this for us, Nelson, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all good. I am in Rustenburg. I hope my connectivity is good. I'm not at where we usually work. Oh, okay. Thank you for the opportunity to just come and share some of the learnings we got over the years, especially around partnerships, but also, considering that we are in a peer-to-peer learning, session, get to facilitate a session, with obviously colleagues from the different maker spaces, and we get to just talk about, what partnerships are. Get to hear, the kind of partners, people have in the different spaces, and how those partnerships are helping, in the work that we are doing. And the hope really is, while we are doing that, we'll get to learn obviously from each other. We'll get to appreciate, how different organizations, are set up, different organizations are doing the work, but also how the partners, are enabling, this work that we are in. I mean, us who are running Makerspace know how challenging, this work can be, given the constraints that we have, around the resources, that are needed to do what is required. And it is in the partnership that sometimes we are able to, achieve some of the things. So it will be obviously well, we've got an hour, 30 minutes. I don't know if we'll take the whole hour, 30 minutes. Anna did say, even if it's an hour, that is okay. But we are going to obviously be engaging, on the session. We will, get to hear from, different maker spaces and hear what everyone is doing. Now, maybe just as quick, context, how, I guess Anna got to I guess ask one to be part of this or facilitate this. It was after our session where we were just sharing some of the work that we were doing at TMG Makerspace, and she pointed out that, geez, you guys are have got a lot of partners. It seems like almost everything that you guys are doing, there's a partner for it. Because that is really how we are set up. So indeed, we do have a lot of partners. There's been many organizations that we are partnering on, and I think it was very well spotted from Anna to see that indeed you guys are having a lot of partners, and some of them are making your life your work and I guess your life easier. And this is why I'm here and I'm facilitating the session. Now, we are not necessarily experts. This is a peer-to-peer learning session. So I'm also keen to be hearing obviously from the other maker spaces, and get to appreciate how everyone understands partnership, but also do it in their area. But maybe before we start, can I maybe just get a sense of which maker spaces are in the room? Just a quick introduction. But also, while we are doing that, may I just request that maybe you outline maybe one partnership that you think has had a lot of value, in the work that you are doing. Of course, later on, we'll get into, all of what that means, how you got to get those partners and how are they contributing to the work. But maybe at high level, which partner is really contributing to the space, but also the work that you are doing while you are introducing yourself, please. Just so we know which maker spaces are in the room.
Okay, I'll go first. It's Steve from the Makerspace in Durban. Sam will go after me. I think, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but the work we've been doing with the United Nations UNDP. I think that's a good partnership, and they've continued to find support for us. And yeah, we were able to deliver good work for them under tight deadlines, and then they sort of reciprocated by helping us connect with another institutional funder to run the project the second year. So yeah, besides the smaller partnerships, that was a significant one. And yeah, so hope that's what you mean.
Thank you so much, Steve. Highly appreciated. Did you want Sam to come after you, Steve?
Yes.
Please go ahead, Sam. Thank you.
Okay. Also from Makerspace Durban. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about partnerships. I think maybe a more recent one that we've had, we partnered with the Maritime Cluster to run a program with them. So that was significant, and probably the most recent one. We've had a couple of other partnerships. Yeah, and it was a very good partnership. We were able to do, it was a short-term program, but yeah, it was a good partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. May I hear from the other makerspaces, please?
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Yeah,
Good afternoon.
this is Michael Danko, from the DTI Makerspace in Ghana. Yeah, so our major partnership is with MasterCard Foundation. So because we run the place as a school as well, we are able to get a constant flow of participants coming in through our partnership with them, and we actually report on our the impact of the makerspace to them, them being our partners and our sponsors. Yeah, we do that. We recently entered a partnership with the Maker Institute Prague, who reached out to us somewhere early this year. We are still in talks about how we can collaborate on some of the projects and challenges at the DTI Makerspace. Another local partnership is with the Ghana Tech Lab, which is one of the biggest innovation hubs in the country. And through that, we are able to place some of our participants in industry and some other startup projects that they have in their hub. Yeah, so that's for our end.
Thank you so much, Michael. May I request that we hear from another makerspace, please?
All right, thank you. This is Martin Olo, Fabla Buinam. I want to indicate maybe 4 partnerships for various reasons. The first one, despite the fact that I'm also part of distributed manufacturing, but I really want to applaud the partnership that we've gotten through IMA, because this is one of the relevant partnerships, especially which majorly focuses on the work that is done in makerspaces and fab labs. So this is one partnership which has helped us in figuring out some of the things which are more ignored in many partnerships. The other partnership which we got recently is a partnership which has contained so many partners, that is, and I like it because it has put us in a position where we have direct contact with government. So it's a partnership with Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, and it has other partners, of course, other innovation center called E4Impact, and it has Spineberg, and the whole partnership is supported by World Bank. So the reason why I like this partnership is that it has really focused on strengthening our capacity on financial, basically documentation, which is very important, and that is able to help us track our impact very well. Let me also talk, sorry?
Why?
Sorry. So let me also talk about the very new partnership, though we are still in talking stage, but there are some activities which we are already doing together. This is partnership with the University of Virginia, where we are working on supporting developing what we call CBC classes. CBC is a new curriculum in Kenya called competence-based curriculum, and teachers are really struggling with it. And we've been, for a good time now, Fab Lab Winam has been struggling on how to position itself to support schools to create a lab-like in a school where practicals can be done. And so we found out that the University of Virginia, of course, this was connected through Fab Foundation because they had interest in Kenya, and we've been having a lot of conversation, and we've even done some activities together where we do activities in school, and we are looking forward to build a library together on practical activities. And very last one, which is also still we are talking, is a partnership with KIPI, that is Kenya Intellectual Property Institute. And reason why we are chasing this partnership is we've been talking that they would make our center to be a TISC center, that is Technology and Innovation Support Center. So basically, we will offer 1 or 2 of our staff to be trained, and we dedicate a computer which will be able to have database so that the innovators within the area can be able to use that to get information as far as innovations and intellectual properties is concerned. So those are some of the very most important partnerships that I can talk about, though we've been having several partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. Can I hear from another makerspace, please, if we do have more?
Hello. Sorry, I just want to share something briefly. I'm currently not with the Makerspace, but I want to share about the experience I had when I was with AMN. So I think of all the partnerships that AMN had with other organizations while I was with them, one of the very significant ones that stood out for me was the partnership with GIG, Global Innovation Gathering. That one relationship that the network had with GIG developed into a lot of other partnerships that might not have been possible if not for that association with GIG. So it ended up being like a tree, just one partnership with GIG. And then through that, we were able to connect with other organizations, other projects, and all of that. So it went a very long way to help the network expand and to be able to engage in all of the activities that it was engaged in at the time that I was with them. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. I'm not sure if there's someone else maybe who wanted to come in and maybe introduce their makerspace, but also talk about the partnerships they've got.
I believe we have representatives from Kamasi Hive, and I see Nasa from IOMI, so great, thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead, Nasser.
Hi everyone, my name is Nasser. I'm from IOMI 254, and we are also partnering with several organizations, including Kenya Red Cross itself, in which we are being housed in. But apart from that, we have several partners that we have engaged in different contexts. Like we have plastic recycling partners, we have partners engaged with institutions like academia, we have partners like CBOs and CSOs. So our kind of partners are quite diversified, but also dependent on the type of engagement that we are engaging with them. So we have academia, we have CSOs and CBOs, we have plastic and waste management partners, we have computer aid who are also really helping us in terms of giving us like computers kind of resources. So we are diversified in terms of resource mobilization, academia, and different contexts that comes in.
Thank you so much, Nasser. I think that there was one last makerspace, if I'm not mistaken, Rebecca. I wasn't sure which one you identified.
Yes, Kamasi Hive, I believe we
Kumasi
have
Hive, oh.
Rex and Rose with us today.
Yeah, hello. Sorry if I'm not sharing my screen, but I'll keep it brief. So my name is Rex from Kumasi Hive. Dawood is supposed to be in the call for us, but I'm representing Kumasi Hive Makerspace. The current partnership we have is with the French Embassy. We are trying to develop air quality monitors, and we are doing that with KNUST, University of Ghana, and University of Cape Coast. When these quality monitors are done, it will be installed in Accra, UCC, and then Kumasi to measure the air quality within the space. And then the information will be taken up by the donors to see how they can regulate the air quality within these environments. I'm here with Rose, who is the research associate for Kumasi Hive. Pardon me if I jump out of the meeting. Rose will continue. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you. I think we have heard from everyone. Thank you so much for sharing, but also those introductions. I'm just going to maybe just share one or two partners that we have and what we are doing with some of those partners. We are not going to, obviously, I'm not going to be giving a lecture on partnerships. I think it's very clear everyone, has partners already. They know, what partners are, but also, what is important, obviously, in that relationship. But something that we are going to spend time doing, is just to reflect on, how are these partnerships, serving us? Of course, if there are successes, that we need to be looking at, we'll spend time, just reflecting on that, just learning from each other. Michael, I do see that your camera is on. I'm not sure if you wanted to say something to indicate if you do. And we'll just reflect on, what are some of the, the things really, what are some of the characteristics, I guess, that we also need to be looking at as we are identifying this partner. I think these partners, I think it will be important, if we get to appreciate, what some of these partners are bringing into the work of the different maker spaces. The reason why we obviously want to do that is just so everyone, gets to appreciate, what these partners can do for us. For example, if, there is work, that Steve is doing, in Durban, and that work is bearing fruit, in Durban, that could be a learning, obviously, for TMG Makerspace in Johannesburg, and that could be a learning, obviously, that we get to bring into the work that we are doing. But of course, we know that, just like any other relationship, there could be challenges, in the partnerships as well. So we'll also maybe just touch on, what are some of the challenges, that we could be facing. And who knows, maybe by having that discussion, we can be helping each other overcome some of the challenges, that we might have. I know we had many challenges, in the work that we are doing. And we'll get to share, of course, some of those. And if there are any learnings, of course, for anyone, we can also, or you can be learning from that as well. But also something that I think we also need to be doing, especially towards the end of the session. Once we have obviously get to hear from everyone, we got to appreciate, what are some of the the successes, what are some of the value, some of these partners are bringing into the work that we are doing. But also once we've appreciated, I guess, some of the challenges, I'm hoping we can also maybe, have a pathway of some sort, from this session to say, now, given that, we are here, or for example, as TMG Makerspace, given that we are obviously at this level, these are the kind of partners that we have. Given the learnings that have obviously come out of the session, these are some of the things that we maybe need to be doing to attract some of the funders, but also identify who these partners could be, who can come and add value in the work that we are doing. So we have had a few, partners, in the work that we are doing, but I think maybe because of time, I will just talk about the two partnerships that we have that we think are adding a lot of value in the work that we are doing. I think I've indicated, in the past that we have an opportunity, to occupy 4 makerspaces and run programs, in those 4 makerspaces. Currently, we've got 2 makerspaces that are active, and we will be looking to activate the other 2 once we have gotten the funds that we need. We are currently fundraising, which I will get to talk about. Now, the 4 spaces that I am referring to, we don't own those spaces. By that I mean we don't own the buildings, that we are operating for. Some of them, in fact, we do not even own some of the machinery that we are using, that is in that space. And those are some of the partnerships that are really enabling us to do some of the work. And I will maybe just list those quickly. So we have 3 entities, that we have partnered with. Number 1, there's an entity called, Tshimolohong, at Tshimolohong Precinct, which is a digital incubator based in Braamfontein. They are owned by Wits University, and we are operating the makerspace in that incubator. So we do have a formal agreement with them to occupy the space, but also run programs in that space. Now, the partnership with Tshimolohong, in fact, has, bear so much fruits, for us, because we have, had an opportunity, to be doing this work with very little, cost, if I can call it that. Because we have a space that we are working from. We don't have to worry, or we haven't had to worry about utilities, for a while. I don't even know how much we are paying for electricity in that building, because the university obviously takes care of the cost, of maintaining, that building. So the cost obviously has been, one element that they've added a lot of value, for us. And fortunately, also because it is a university associated incubator, they have managed to bring in a lot of clients, that are coming obviously into the space. And we have gotten many projects, because of that partnership. There's many projects that in fact we are doing, many projects that I might not be able to get into that we have done in the past. And it was through that partnerships, because people do come to universities for many things, and one way or the other found themselves, in the makerspace. So that is a partnership that has bear a lot of fruits for us. In fact, our work, started, at Tshimolohong. I know Steve is very much familiar with our story. He was involved, in the early stages. It started at Tshimolohong. It is a partnership we've had over 5 years. It has had many, many challenges. But one of the things that we are obviously appreciative of is the fact that we were able to set up and get a space, but also get some of the equipment that we needed, get foot traffic, get some of the partnerships that we built over the years by just being there with very little cost attached to it. And that is something that we do appreciate. Makerspaces generally, sustainability can be a challenge. And having to be able to have, that privilege really has helped us quite a lot. And another institution that we have partnered with is another government, or it's a government entity. Now, in South Africa, we have this challenge, where we have many government entities setting up makerspaces. So they will have a budget for makerspaces, and they will go find the space, buy equipment, equip, the spaces, get it looking all nice and fancy. And that's all that they think, it's what it takes to get that space running. And more often what ends up happening is, nothing happens in those spaces. We've got many maker spaces in South Africa that are, with some of the nicest equipment you can find. I think earlier this year, we visited another institution. And they told us, that they have spent about 12 million rand. I know we are coming from different countries. I'm not sure if you appreciate how much money that is. 12 million rand is a lot of money, in the work that we do. They had spent 12 million rand to set up the space, but there was no programs, operating or working, or there was nothing happening in that space for years. That space has been sitting because they felt that they can just buy the equipment, get the space looking nice, and then work will happen. Now, we have identified many organizations over the years who have that kind of a problem. and we have partnered with them. Now, there's 2 organizations like that where we are currently, there's one makerspace that we are currently, that's $700,000. Okay, that is quite significant. Yeah, they have spent that much money. We were shocked to hear. Thanks, Anna. We were shocked to hear how much money they spent to set up that makerspace. If you were to visit, it looks very fancy. They've got some of the most sophisticated robotic systems you can find, and they're just sitting there doing nothing. But anyway, so we have partnered with other organizations that are owned by the government. And maybe just to give out the names, there's an organization called the Constitution Hill. They are owned by an agency of government called the Gauteng Growth Development Agency. Also, they had a similar problem. We have, approached them. We have indicated that we've got the expertise, to activate the space. We've got the expertise to get people obviously in those spaces and run programs, that are able to get the space working and serving the purpose it was meant for when they built it. And of course, it was a value proposition that made sense to them because they also wanted to see those spaces working. Remember, some of them, the spaces are not working, not because they don't want to see those spaces working. Sometimes it's because people don't know what it takes to get the spaces working. And we brought in the expertise, we brought in our experience of building communities. We brought in our experience of really getting, a group of entrepreneurs coming in and being served by that resource. We do have another organization also. They also had a similar problem. They, in fact, have a much bigger problem because they have many spaces like that. All in all, they've got about 14 spaces like that. And in those spaces, their makerspaces are not working. We have partnered with them as well. We're starting obviously very small with them, and we had identified 2 makerspaces that we will activate once we've gotten the funding. We obviously can't be going in there and doing any work until we have identified the funds that we have, that we need for the program. Now, that is one way we have partnered, in the work that we are doing. We have partnered with organizations, that can, in a way, make the space available, make equipment available. By the way, all the spaces that I'm referring to, they already had equipment. They already had all the laser cutters that we needed, the 3D printers that we needed, the hand tools that we needed, and all that we had to do was bring whatever that we were going to be needing in the program that they did not have, which was something that we were able to do, get the programs up and running and do the work. That is one way we have partnered, in the work that we are doing. Another partnership, maybe very quickly before we get into the discussions, is we have been doing work with the municipality here in Johannesburg, the city of Johannesburg. We have been running a project with them for many years, in fact, since 2020. They have been a very good, partner. In fact, when we started, they were more of a, a client, and eventually with time, they became a very good partner of ours. Now, the city of Johannesburg, they there's a program that we are doing with them where every year we look out for smart city solutions. The city of Johannesburg is looking to turn into a smart city. A conversation for another day. Obviously, I know there's many feelings and thoughts about smart cities, especially in Africa with all the challenges that we are having. But we do believe that there is a need for some of the solutions that have come up through this, this innovation challenge. So every year we look out for young innovators who have smart city solutions, and we give them an opportunity to pilot those solutions within the city of Johannesburg. For example, we'll have a young person who says, I've got a sensor, for manhole covers, for those who are maybe familiar with or not familiar with the infrastructure of the city. In the city has, the systems where either water or waste moves right underground, and there's this manhole covers where the personnel who are working for the various departments will go into those manholes, measuring, the levels, doing whatever maintenance work that needs to be done. And sometimes those manholes, they overflow, they overflow. If it's water, it will overflow. If it's sewage, it will overflow. And one of the reasons why it does that is because people generally don't know how far they are. They don't know how far they are. before they start overflowing, because someone has to manually go in there and check. So one of the solutions was a sensor that you can put under the manhole that obviously is secure, and you are able to get real-time data, to be able to know where your manholes are. If you are Department of Water, of course, you will get to know which ones are about to overflow, and you can be sending people to go and, and deal with it. And that is one solution, that came out through this program that we are doing in the city of Johannesburg, and it is being piloted with a department within the city of Johannesburg. But over time, we've come to appreciate that there's a huge need, obviously, for this kind of work, and the city didn't have enough resources, to be funding this work. So we had to find ways to raise money together. Now that became a partnership. That is work that we are collectively doing, to go out looking for funding together, so we are able to run more of this kind of programs. Now, those are the two partnerships that I'm able to touch on now, and because of time, I think those are the only ones I will be focusing on. Now, there are obviously many reasons why we get into partnerships. There are many things that comes out of partnerships. And I'm just keen, for us to maybe have a discussion around, this part, where we get to just reflect on why is this partnership important in the work that we are doing. Obviously, everyone will get to give their own experience. But if we were to sum it up and maybe touch on two elements of why we are partnering with the organization that we are partnering on, maybe just also indicate, the value that these partnerships have brought, I will appreciate if we can do that. Of course, it will be great if you can maybe just continue, from the example that you have given, so that we don't maybe spend time getting into another example. Can I maybe just hear, I will maybe just pick in the order that we have used. Steve, if that is okay, we'll start with you. Can I just maybe hear, if you were to reflect on all the partnerships that you have had over the years, what is this one value that you really appreciate, or maybe the two things that you truly appreciate from those partnerships? But also, are you able to maybe just share with us, how those partnerships have helped you in the work that you are doing while you are focusing on those two things? Steve, awesome. If I may start with you too, please.
All right. So I think Steve has just stepped out, but I think probably the one partnership that has had like quite a significant help for us has been the UNDP partnership. So we've run 2 programs now with them. So the whole idea of the Makerspace is to try and inspire people to leverage technology to better their lives. So as a part of that program, we had about 60 mostly young women. Well, yeah, in total, I think it was 60. And we helped facilitate that program and assisted them by gaining skills, technical skills, soft skills to try and get them out and ready for work. So, I mean, like a program like that for us was quite a large scale program. I don't think we've been able to really do that without the assistance of the UNDP. I don't know, sorry, what was the question again? Besides that.
What is the value, if you were to identify two things that UNDP's partnership is bringing into the work that you're doing, what will those two things be? The most important things? I'm sure there's many, many, many things.
Yeah, I mean, it allowed us to sort of keep going with the work that we were already doing. It definitely helped with the cash injection to be able to facilitate such a large group of people at the same time. So we wouldn't been able to do something like that, or at least of that scale, without the partnership of the UNDP. And it was like a 6-month program. So yeah, it was quite hectic, quite intense. We hope to get another one of those programs with them as well sometime this year. Yeah. Thank you.
That will be great, Sam. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. Can I hear from can I hear from Michael, please? Is Michael still with us? Sorry. Michael?
Yes, I can see Michael. I think we currently have three Michaels on the call. So I think were you meaning Michael Dankwa, who was I think the second to speak?
Yes, the second to speak, yes.
Second to
yes, sorry.
speak, yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry. So, I didn't, yeah, sorry. Thanks for picking that up.
No, that's okay.
Michael Danko, if you are still with us, are you able to just share your experience here? What is the question is what is the value that the partnerships that you had, brought into the work that you are doing? Of course, there are many lessons, I'm sure, but we are, because of
Hello.
time, we'll stick to
Hello.
two. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Well, I was away for a bit. My network was messing up, so I had to change locations. Yeah, sorry. I think you mentioned my name.
Oh, yes. Look, we're just reflecting on the value partnerships can have in the work of the makerspace. And I was just asking that for every makerspace, already we have identified or maybe mentioned, notable, I guess, partnerships that we have. What value are those bringing in the work that we are doing? I mean, you spoke about Master Card Foundation, for example, I think you mentioned also DTM, if I caught that correctly, the Ghana Tech Hub. What is the value these partners are bringing, in the work that you are doing? Yeah, just two maybe points,
Sure.
if you can keep it at that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I can take one partner at a time. For Mastercard, we started with Mastercard. The development of the makerspace actually was funded by Mastercard. At least the initial phase of it. Yeah, so we do receive funding from there, and which also covers like funding for the personnel in the space. And then support for the participants as well. Not all of them can afford being in this community, the DTI community, and even for using the space. So the funding extends to them. So we usually have like a constant flow of participants coming in every year. And after every year, we see like new faces that we've trained that are using the skills that we've imparted to them out there. For the Ghana Tech Lab,
sorry, Michael, can I ask that we maybe stick to one, but I'm also keen
one.
just to get.
Oh, okay.
Can I maybe just ask?
Sorry,
ask
please
a
go
question, if you may allow me. Sounds like the Mastercard Foundation is a great partnership. If I've got you correctly, I mean, they're assisting you with setting up the makerspace. They are also supporting, the people who are in the program, etc. Sounds like a great partnership. Can I maybe just get to hear how did you acquire that partnership, but also how are you able to get it going or continuing?
Yeah, so the acquisition of that partnership actually supersedes me. I came in when the partnership had already begun, and it's been in phases. So I joined when phase one had already started, but then we didn't have the makerspace, and I think it was a grant bid that was won through the president of DTI, Ms. Swanica, and I got to join in when it was still quite new. With regards to how we are keeping it going, so we have like so many reports to give with regards to impact, the number of trainees and all of that, and we have a dedicated monitoring and evaluation team on grounds that is ensuring that like we are reporting on whatever goes on in the makerspace and in other departments in the institution. So I think we had a visit from the Mastercard delegation, including the president of Mastercard herself visited somewhere last year, I think mid or late last year, and this was to see what's going on, and like in terms of like how we are using the support that they are giving us. And I think they use both like on grounds like inspections and on grounds visits together with the reports that we provide to track the progress and impacts that we are making, and that's what I believe keeps us on track with them. So we are currently in the phase 2 of the projects with them, and hopefully we would carry on from then. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Colleagues, look, I will allow time for questions, but also for comments. Maybe let's just go through the round. If there's anything maybe that you would like to ask Michael, but also Sam. Please just note it, and anyone else who's going to come through. Please just note it, and then maybe towards the end, once everyone has shared, we can open for those questions or comments. May we hear from Martin? Please, Filipina.
All right, thank you. Oh, you say that we only maintain one, so let me just talk about the one that we've been doing, the Tech Bootcamp. Of course, I can say that FabLab has been trying to look for long-term partnerships, especially that can create value towards what is more relevant with what FabLab does. But that has been a big challenge, and I'll be much interested to talk to Michael on how to get MasterCard on this end, because since they are already understanding the concept. Now, we got this partnership with MITI, that is Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, under one of their programs they called Kenya Industry Entrepreneurship Program. And under that, they have another program called SKIES, which is Strengthening Kenya's Innovation Ecosystem. So we were contracted as to run Tech Bootcamp. So they selected four innovation spaces, of which in Kenya I can say we are only 4 makerspaces, and the rest are the other kind of hubs. So they selected 4 innovation spaces, and I was even wondering if we would have been selected, because during the pitching I was more leaning towards hardware, and they were like wondering, what are you talking about? And with us, we are so much into entrepreneurship, but they selected us anyway. So there's a program which we've been doing in FabLab called She Builds, which we designed to bring more women into hardware tech. And I can say that it has not been very successful. Many times we've been getting dropout severally. And now this program, we still pitched the same She Builds, and now we were able to get the right support. And I can assure you that we started with 60 students, and 3 students post themselves into the program, and we had to keep them. And we've completed the 3 months with 63 students. So we didn't have any dropout. Of course, when we announced the program, over 1,800 people applied, but simply because we also indicated some of the benefits, which included the other supports like providing daycare facility for the young women, providing boarding facility for those who are coming from far, providing meals. And so the training was nice. Of course, we were even giving stipend, and we were now able to have a lot of people, and we were able to maintain them throughout the program. Otherwise, many of the programs we've been running, you start with a huge number, and before you know it, we are remaining with less than 10. So the program became successful because there were enough resources that we were able to make sure that trainees stay in the program. But on the other side, it also had a lot of pressure to make sure that our documentation is up to date. Our financial management system must be up to date. The policy documents have to be updated. And yeah, so that is how it has helped us. Thank you.
Can I maybe just ask a quick question?
Yes.
Martin, you you spoke about long-term partnership, which I think is a very important element in partnership. Can I maybe just ask why is this important for you? But what do you think are some of the things we can do to ensure that the partnerships, especially the good partnerships that we have, are long-term?
Yeah, if you have long-term partnerships, then you can have long-term strategies other than just the partnership which come on project per project basis. And because, for example, if I can get somebody who takes care of admin cost for us today for, let's say, 5 years, then we can be left to start working on other areas. Otherwise, every time we have to figure out things, we have to change our plans here and there. And apparently, you can see the whole of Africa, the makerspaces are just a few, and most funders are rarely putting their money on makerspaces. Not many African, even the government don't understand much, or they don't prioritize investing in hardware space. So getting few partners who really understand what we do and are willing to work with us, that journey is not easy. And if you get one, then you hold them closely. You've seen, for example, if you look at the hubs, they easily get partners, and they run, they run trainings like the one which we've done, which is Tech Bootcamp. Our Tech Bootcamp was only focusing on cybersecurity and data analytics. That is easy. But if we would have focused on hardware-related innovations, where people have to build stuff and all that, then chances are we would have not gotten that partnership. So again, I'm not so sure how we can go about getting them, but I am thinking that having proper strategies, having positioning yourself very well, strengthening some of your capacities, for example, us making sure that we have all the right policies. Right now we are working with, under IMA, we are working on developing different code of conducts, just making sure that you are ready and your capacity, if they come for due diligence, you can be tested. And also, lastly, the previous partnership can also help you get other partnerships. For us, we are hoping that this partnership, which also involves the World Bank and government, we can easily use it. We are using it for visibility, but we can also use it to tell other partners that, you see, we've run a World Bank funded program successfully, and we've done our proper counting, so you can trust us with your money as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. Colleagues, like I've indicated, if we've got comments, questions, we'll be taking those. May I ask that we hear from Nasir? Nasir?
Yeah,
thank you.
No, thank you. So actually, Martin, it seems that I'll have to see you after the meeting and gain those partnerships that we are talking about. It's quite interesting because we are in the same country, and we really appreciate if you can get some of those partners. But anyway, so concerning our side, for the IOME 254, we are like a humanitarian intervention or organization. So one of the thing that we are really proud in terms of partnership is the improved service delivery. So like taking an example, we were working with an academia from like an international university, to be specific, the University of Netherlands. And we were working on a certain project that is going to help the community. We were developing a digital microscope within the Fab Labs, and then seeing how we can locally produce things and distribute or donate to these schools that are currently having some limitations. Through that, through the cross-learning and the cross-exchange, and we had some students from Netherlands coming to Kenya and doing some exchange visits and learnings. So I can say that for that kind of partnership has really forged and enhanced that project, and really impacting the community at large. So this is just an example, but what I can say is that through partnership, it enhanced the improved service delivery of projects and services.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nasir. I'm happy there are connections, that are also being made. Martin, I really hope you guys will be getting onto a call after this and sharing, those learnings, but also how the two makerspaces can be benefiting from the partners that you spoke about. Can I maybe hear from Komasi Hive? And I think that will be the last one, colleagues. And then we will reflect very quickly before we move on to the next part. Komasi Hive, sorry, I'm not sure who took care of Komasi Hive earlier on. Was it another Martin?
I think Kumasi Hive have had to drop out for a moment.
Okay.
Can't see a representative here currently.
No problem, no problem. Look, thank you so much for sharing, some of the value that you are deriving from the different partnerships, like I've indicated. If there is a comment, that you would like to make, or a question that you would like to ask, just based on what some of the people have been sharing, if there is a connection that you would like to ask for, based on what, people have been sharing, this is the time, to be able to do that. So can I maybe just see if there are those who have questions or comments before we move on to the next segment? You can just unmute if you've got anything and speak. Do we have any questions, colleagues, or comments? Okay. It doesn't look like there is anything. Thank you so much for.
No, I think I had a question.
Sorry, say that again, Martin.
Yes, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
You asked me, how do we get the long-term partnership? Please, can you help me answer that question?
Okay. Well, that is a question. Thank you, Martin, that we can pose, for everyone. But maybe before I take from the colleagues, we have a partnership with the City of Johannesburg that has been going for a long time. I think it's the longest one that we have had, and the partnership. It's a good one for us. Few makerspaces closed in South Africa, during COVID or after COVID. And I think we are here today, because of the partnership that we had with the city. Now, one of the things that we have come to appreciate, because of the work that we are doing, with the city, but also why the city keeps coming back to us. One of the days, when we have a chance, maybe I will come and share about some of the challenges that we have had in the past, but how colleagues from the city really have been fighting tooth and nail to make sure that this partnership, not with us, obviously with anyone else, will try sometimes to derail the project. They really have been going all out, to make sure that this partnership remains, but also it does what it means to function. And I always, talk to the people who are running the project. They are coming from an office called the Smart City Office. Just trying to understand, why is this partnership so important to them? Why are they going all out, to make sure that it continues, but also fight off anything really that tries to derail, the project. And the people in the office have always been very clear to us, that they've come to appreciate our hearts. That is one of the things that they talk about. They've come to appreciate that we are fully invested, in this work, that we are truly trying to make a difference, in the space that we are working in, and we are doing whatever it takes, obviously, to do that. And that is something that they don't get to see, obviously, being government. There's many, obviously, people who are working in government in South Africa. In fact, we've got a term for it called tenderpreneur. These are people who are in the business of just getting tenders from government. And sometimes, the people are not able to deliver. They don't have the capabilities. They don't have the capacity. They are maybe also not interested in delivery. And they don't deliver on some of the services. That is in fact, one of the issues that we have, in South Africa, especially around service delivery, because those who we have, the tenders are not delivering because they just don't care about the work that they've been appointed to. So they've come to appreciate that we care about the work because it shows, obviously, in the work that we are doing. But also something that, they have indicated, to us, many times, is that we have come to be very reliable. We are very reliable. Anything really that we say we are going to be able to do, for more than 5 years that we have been together, we have managed to do that thing. Not that we haven't had the challenges, but they've come to appreciate the efforts, that we've been putting, in this work to make sure that whatever that needs to be done, it is done. And that is another thing, maybe to close, another thing that also they mentioned, I'm just sharing this as an example because I think it answers your question, Martin, one way or the other. And another thing that they also get to appreciate is how we've been growing, in this partnership. So when we started, the project looked totally differently to what it is today. And this is because every time after we have delivered, we had to sit down with them and say, look, what are some of the challenges, but also what are the opportunities that we really can leverage on or maybe unlock to make this project much better and, increase the impact, because of time, I might not be able to get into the details. And having to see what this project has become over the years, they've come to appreciate that we are the right partner long-term for them. And that is why sometimes they're able to go all out, to fight and make sure that this work continues. And of course, we share all our aspirations. We share, what we would love to see, happening in the next few years. So they also see that we still have many things, that we would like to bring into this partnership. And this is why they are in it for the long haul. But I'm keen to hear, obviously, what are some of the comments, from some of the colleagues, considering that everyone has a partner one way or the other. How do we make sure that the partnerships that we have are long term? Is there anyone else maybe who would like to share their experience here?
Yeah, it's sure. Can I start?
Please go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, my name is Mike Mekujambo from IOME 54, but I'm based in IOME 001 in Mombasa. So I'll try to answer that using one of our partners here. I think also good relationship with your donor or funder or the partner also brings a lot, creates a lot of time, or it always brings them back to you if you always look forward to be close with them, have sometimes extra meetings or out of the curricula or even out of the partnership. So we have a partnership with the French embassy, and with that, they supported us setting up this lab in Mombasa. But it didn't just stop there. Even after the end of the fund, the grant, we were still engaged. We even went ahead to we offered short French language training uh, that starts at from around 4 p.m. in the evening. We usually had those classes. That's not our scope. We don't do French languages, but we did that also just to create, because we know the agenda of the French embassy is also to spread in their language in Africa and the entire continent. So we had such training. This not only like promoted us to them, but also it made them. They brought in more companies from French-speaking nations, brought in more partners from France into Kenya, and we through that we just got in and like around 6 partners, companies, these are private companies from French embassy or from France, sorry, who have each of them have chipped in some contribution for Fab Lab. We've done some activities with them. So the ambassador himself even brought the German embassy just to come and see what they are doing in Mombasa and in regards to the French classes that are going on, and also, but this conversation came in because of the good relationship we've been maintaining with the embassy, and we've gone even an extra mile to also not only for the grant, but the grant was only focusing on innovative approaches and innovative and capacity building the youth, but we included also those are French classes, which is not our scope, but in the interest of the donor, yes, which they didn't suggest, but we did suggest. So it created a win-win situation for both of us, and till date we in good relationship with them, and there's the number of support that they give us. Yeah, I think that can also be one of the strategies you can use.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, that was, thank you, Mike. That was very good. Good relationships. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. Do we have anyone else who would like to respond to the question Martin asked? Okay. I'm not seeing any hands. Thank you for the question, Martin. Highly appreciated. Now, we know, like I was saying earlier on, just like any other relationship, there could be issues, there could be challenges, along the way. I'm keen to maybe hear from a few on this one, given that we do not have a lot of time. We are doing work, ladies and gentlemen, we have many challenges. And if maybe there is someone who would like to highlight maybe a challenge that they are currently facing, with the hope that maybe they can be learning, from, others with the challenge. If there is, of course, someone like that now, but of course, if there isn't, we can always look at the past challenges. But I'm keen to maybe get to hear from someone who might be thinking, look, there is a challenge they are having around partnerships. It could be around building partnerships or maintaining partnership or whatever the case might be. And you would like to maybe share, that challenge and we get maybe thoughts, from the colleagues. I think we can do that. Can I maybe just check, is there someone maybe who would like to share that? If not, we can look into the past. I'm just thinking it would be great, of course, if we are able to help someone, with a current challenge they're facing with a partner, then maybe just dwelling a bit more on what has happened in the past. Of course, there are learnings in what has happened in the past, but I'd like to prioritize maybe someone who has a challenge now. Is there someone maybe like that? No, if there isn't, that's all good. We can move on to the challenges we faced in the past. Okay, all right. Now, we have had many challenges, sorry, in some of the partnerships that we have had. Sometimes the expectations are not aligned. It happens quite a lot, in partnerships that we are coming in with different, or misaligned expectations. Sometimes, our I guess priorities are never the same. Sometimes it could be many things, right? And because of all of that, sometimes these partnerships don't work out. I'm keen to hear, from the colleagues here, if you are able to share, what are some of the challenges that you have had, in some of the partnerships that you have had. But of course, if you've got a chance to also maybe just share with us, how did you overcome some of those challenges, that will be appreciated. So just like we were doing earlier on, maybe we'll just go through, the same order, Sam, I'm not sure if there's anything from your side. If there is, please go ahead and share with us. Were there challenges, that maybe you faced, during some of the partnerships that you have had in the past? Sam, if there's anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm still thinking. I don't know if I have anything at the moment, but I will share if I think something up.
No, noted, Sam. Thank you. May we hear from Michael? Yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Michael. You are muted now, Michael. I'm not sure if you're having a connectivity issue. Do you want to maybe give it another try? Okay, Michael, maybe we will come back to you. Can I maybe hear Martin? Is Martin still? Oh, I think we have Martin. Oh, I see Martin is on now.
I'm still around.
Oh, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, I think one of them is entering into arrangement when you are vulnerable and the partner can end up bulldozing you or just doing their things. Or if you get into partnership with a very huge partner and they are not very supportive. So you hope to be mentored along the way or to have a common understanding, but then at times they just come up with issues and they come up with conditions, and you have to align yourself because you really have very little power of saying no, especially if you are you really don't have money and they are, and you need that money for a program. It's very difficult. Another thing is I can say, for example, there's a partnership which we had, and this one was peer partnership. We were 3 organizations which came together, and we formed a consortium to run an event, annual event. And then there was some level of mistrust got in. You know, you run events, so you give duties to different people, and you realize that some of your partners are doing some deals behind you. So you try to be open. Some of them are doing some shoddy deals behind you. So when you realize this, then the trust get broken and everyone goes their way. Another one is partnerships where not everything is said in advance, and some of them come along the way, and especially if they come along the way and there are issues which you cannot handle. For example, the project which we are doing right now, at the very beginning, it was a normal project where after you've been qualified, you will be given some money to start, and things goes. Then when you are almost there, all the evaluations have been done, you've seen all the number of people who've been dropped, and now you count yourself so lucky. Then now you are told that we are going to provide, the program is going to be reimbursement basis. So you have to do work, you claim, then you come back. So you really wonder whether you need to withdraw at that time or you go on with it. And of course, you also see yourself like you are very lucky to have won this. So you end up feeling like you are not honest with me at the beginning. What is the change? But of course, if you have conversation with other people in the program, you realize that there's some big brother who decided to bulldoze things and change things at the last minute. And everyone else is now towing the line because of that. So I think those are some of the challenges that I can mention. Though I know we have a lot of challenges, especially, of course, my experience in trying to partner with government many times, save for this particular one, many times, my partnership, the ones I've tried with government, I realized that the government role in any project is, I can call it lip service. But in a good way, I can call it goodwill. When you want to launch, you can bring them for launching, but they can't promise anything substantial. Actually, they can promise, but they will not deliver anything substantial. But if you want them for the events to show that this thing is happening, then they'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. I'm actually just laughing when you're talking about lip service, because we do a lot of work with government, so you're just reminding me of some of the experiences we have had. But something that I have come to appreciate, especially working with government. I mean, look, we have been doing this for a while, but also as you can see, there's a lot of government partners that we have on board. So there are institutions, there are departments, there are entities of government that really care about the work, but also that are doing what is required. And I think also our job should be to identify those. And of course, some of them they don't. We have met also many of those that don't really care. But our job, and I guess our duty, is to find those that are as aligned as we are, to the work that needs to be done, that are of the same mind. But I do hear you. Some of them, can just be lip service. Can I maybe just a quick question to you, Martin, but also we can open this one to everyone. How do we make sure that we are not taken advantage of? But also, how do we make sure that, the expectations are very clear from the beginning? What are some of the things, maybe Martin, you, after maybe a while, you realize, oh, maybe I should have put this or that in place, that maybe you are doing now, but also, I'm keen to hear what are some of the things that people are doing to make sure that, no one is taken advantage of. But also, expectations are clearly outlined and everyone understand what the partnership is about. Yeah, Martin, may I start with you?
Yes, I think the first thing is that you, just like you've said, it is important to make sure that you understand the partnership very well and discuss any of the fears that you might be having in advance. But even if I'm saying that, when you are vulnerable, you are just vulnerable. So I know we really try to make sure that we can build our capacities in many ways. And that is the only way that you can get power to say no. Because take example, a normal example where when somebody is hungry, needs food, and they realize that this is the only person who can give them food at this time. Of course, everyone else is having food, but this is the only person who has accepted to give them food. And then this person tells you that you have to dance first before I give you food. Even if you don't know how to dance, you will try some steps a bit so that you get food. While in reality, at times even your religion do not allow you to dance, but then you will have to weigh between my religion and hunger. Which one should I respect at this time? So vulnerability, there's a way in which I'm really hoping that in all these discussions, and of course building the African Makerspace Network, I'm hoping that we are able to build a stronger consortium, a stronger network where we can also support other vulnerable makerspaces at times to make sure that they are able to reach somewhere, and also use such platforms for bargaining, because if you are many, then you have a stronger bargaining power as opposed to when you are alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. I'm going to hear from or open up to the other colleagues. Steve, I see you are back. Well, welcome back. The discussions that we are having now, we're just reflecting on some of the challenges that we have had, in the partnerships, but also how we can overcome, those challenges. Something that we, just to close off, the comments that, some of the comments that Martin was making. Something that we have come to appreciate, that it doesn't matter how big or small the partnership is, the contract has to be there, right? We get into contracts, depending, of course, on the nature of the partnership. It could be obviously an MOA, it could be an SLA, or memorandum of understanding, or a memorandum of agreement. It could be a service level agreement. It could be anything, really. We make sure that we come into an agreement of some sort. And in that agreement, obviously, we outline what the expectations are. We outlined what the roles and the responsibilities are for each and every partner. If we are bringing resources, what resources are we bringing? If we are saying we are partnering with government, that has, some equipment, what equipment is that? And we make sure it's well, obviously, all captured, the state of that is captured. We indicate what we are bringing, and we capture, obviously, all the details around that. So I think it's always important, that we have those agreements in place. We make sure we've got, obviously, very good ones. I understand we are not lawyers, but with the resources that are available online today, we should be able to do that for big but also small partnerships. But I'm keen to hear from other colleagues if there are other challenges maybe they would like to highlight. Steve, I was just saying, if there's anything also you would like to share, please feel free. But now we are going to move on to Nasir. If there's anything on your side. I did see that you are traveling, Nasir. Do indicate if you're not able to speak. Okay. Okay, I take it you are not. Oh, Nasir, please go ahead. I do see you've unmuted. I do see you unmuted, Nasir, but we're not getting any sound. Can I just get confirmation that I'm not the only one? Yeah, no, we are not able to hear you, Nasur, for some reason. You wanna maybe try it again? Or maybe Steve, may we check with you any challenges maybe that you have had in the past, with partnerships that you would like to maybe highlight, but also how you overcame, those challenges?
So the one that comes to mind is a government institution that started a makerspace in Durban, well funded by the city, by taxpayer money, essentially creating a competitor for us. And yeah, just the challenge was we partnered a little bit, and they were supposed to be an ecosystem builder, and then they got an opportunity to build a makerspace through government funding. Yeah, it was unfortunate that we weren't able to continue the partnership in the same way. And yeah, it's sort of like, it's difficult when people have the same goals but different approaches, and different structures. So like, we as independent makerspaces like yours and ours, we have completely different challenges, a completely different way of operating to like a funded makerspace that's using public money, or maybe that's under a university. And so it's a pity that we South Africans seem to be quite small-minded. Like, they don't see the bigger picture, and they end up competing with each other instead of competing globally. Yeah, I don't really know like what the learning is, or how to overcome that. I think maybe some partnerships are just, there's a time frame to them while they need it. So for example, before this organization had their own makerspace, they needed our support with prototype development and supporting innovators, and they would give us a little bit of funding to help build their pipeline of innovators. And then at the time when they were then funded, they got their own space, they didn't really need our support anymore. And so, to the point they actually hired one of my staff. So it can be challenging. And I think you just have to focus on what you're good at, and sort of be willing to work with whoever is out there, and just don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think I'm not sure if there was a better outcome, like in terms of from a way we could have been more involved. And also I think makerspaces seem easy until you do them. So for anyone on the outside looking at starting a makerspace, it seems like a very simple thing to do. And why would they need to share resources with another organization when resources are so tight? But only once somebody's actually done the work and try to build a sustainable makerspace and realize how challenging it is it more obvious, like, where the opportunities for partnership are. So I think even in this network, I think we've all been doing this long enough to know that there's a lot of value in working together and collaborating, rather than competing for small projects and thinking that we are competitors. I don't know, institutional, different governments, different ways of working. You've got to just look for the opportunities to help benefit your mission and align with your mission. But you've got to not put all your, like I said, all your eggs in one basket, to have like one partner who's crucial, and then it affects your sustainability. I don't know if that helps anyone, but like, that's more a challenge and a frustration than necessarily a learning. But I guess the learning is sometimes it's a hard thing to do, and you just have to understand that it's not going to always be easy, and not everyone's going to be behind you all the time. And if you're not ready to go through challenges, then rather do something else. It's easier. I don't
Thank you so much, Steve, for sharing that. I just want to maybe open it up for for anyone maybe who would like to just comment on some of the points that Steve was giving, or maybe reflect a bit. Anna, I do see your hand. Please go ahead. But also anyone else who would like to come through, feel free to do that after Anna.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking as Steve was talking then about the importance of alignment of values. In fact, I was thinking about this a bit when Martin was talking earlier about sort of challenges of trust and things like that. I mean, I think that there can be shorter term partnerships that are expedient, that are useful for both partners for a particular goal, or something for a project or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with having those. They can still be valuable, but I think maybe the ones that last and that turn into longer term partnerships, I think there does need to be some degree of trust between the parties and of alignment of values, like you both valuing the same things, and a kind of understanding of where each other are coming from as well. Over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. In fact, Steve, maybe before you joined, Martin was just sharing on some of the experiences, but also sometimes I guess we can be very vulnerable, going into this partnership, and he was just giving his reflections, on some of the things, that they had faced. So it's interesting that you are raising, this point as well. But I'm keen to hear if there's, anyone else, maybe for a minute or so. And then in the next 5 minutes, we can wrap up. Okay, I'm not getting anyone, which is all good. Look, we have 5 minutes. Something that I mean, look, there's many things, and we are going to touch obviously on some of the things that came out of the discussions, and we can reflect on that as well together. But I think it has become.
I'm struggling to hear you just now, Nelson. Is anyone else having this?
Can you hear me now?
A little better, but it's not great.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's my connectivity.
Yeah, the audio went quite.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thanks. Thanks, Nelson.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. I was just saying, that there are many things, obviously, that has come out of, the session today, which we will reflect on. But something that has become clearer, I think maybe this point became even more clearer for me, when Martin was sharing some of the things, was how we have now this strong partnership that we can leverage. We have obviously, through the IMA project, obviously those who are coming through IMA, but also we have all these makerspaces, that are across the continent, that have, one way or the other leveraged, partnerships to do this or that. Yeah, and I think that's something that I would like us to maybe exploit. Can be here, but also it can be even after. Yeah, to say how do we leverage, on that? How do we make sure that the partnership between the maker spaces themselves also is strong, to ensure that we can also be that strong, consortium that Martin was talking about. Yeah, but there are many things obviously that stands out, for me. We spend a lot of time, just, talking about some of the successes, and the value that makerspaces are bringing. One thing I think that I know we need to tighten on our end is the reporting part. I didn't note the name down, sorry about that. I was just talking about how important, obviously, that monitoring and evaluation is, obviously, for maintaining, this long-term partnership, and I think that's something that we need to be doing much more of, where we are able to monitor, but also evaluate all the work that we are doing. We do know, of course, that that work is important. Yeah, but of course, partners will want to see that, they might not be part of the day-to-day, and we will have to find ways of having, very strong monitoring and evaluation systems. So our reporting is good, obviously, for the partners that we have and the partners that we would like to have going forward. But I'm keen to hear, maybe from you colleagues, what are some of the things maybe that are standing out for you? It could just be one thing because of time. As we are wrapping up, what is the one thing maybe that you think your makerspace, is going to do differently or maybe reinforce, going forward, given the discussions that we have had, in this session? I might not be able to take everyone because of time. I think it's important that we finish on time, but maybe let's hear from one or two people. Anyone?
I just want to throw in my 2 cents, because it's something that's become more obvious to me, and Anna and I are working on it in terms of business development, even in this project, is the value of partnering as this network and continuing the partnership and finding a way to share value. And so, yeah, we need good partners. Like we can't make a partnership, a network work if everyone's trying to take more than they give. And in fact, I have this saying at the Makerspace, one of our values is give more than you take. And what that means is, like, if you get benefits, say through this partnership, you get $10,000, right, for attending. How do you make sure you're giving at least $10,000 of value, like, or $11,000 of value back? And obviously, it's not going to be in monetary value, like, but you need to think of it as an equivalent of how much time and effort you're putting back into the network, because otherwise what happens is a network or partnership or a group, consortium, whatever, becomes bankrupt. So there's like an imaginary bank balance of resources, of time, of energy, of commitment, of just enthusiasm. And if you just taking from that and you're not finding a way to give back, and in our makerspace we do that. Some people don't have money, so we kind of encourage them to maybe to give some time to come and run some courses, or to help with some like production, or just basically be willing. So my 2 cents is just to say, like, I think you're onto something about the power of a network, and I think we actually looking at how to formalize that. But it's quite key that when people get involved in the network, they see the benefit, which is that we could get work together and we could share big projects together, but they also need to be doing at least that much value back into the network. It can't be a one-way street, otherwise it doesn't endure. So if you're running a space and you're under pressure and you need resources, and then you get this opportunity to be part of a project, and then you use those resources to fund other things, and you don't really do the work that's needed in the project, or engage in the way that the partners need you to engage, then the value of the network dies. So I mean, I just see, like, with some of the meetings, like the engagement, I don't know, I dropped off today, but some of the engagements been not that amazing for the amounts of resources that have been allocated. So my encouragement is just to think, as a makerspace, as a leader, as part of the network, how do you be a contributing member and a contributing partner, and not just, partnerships aren't about what you can get out of them. It's about the synergy between 2 organizations or multiple organizations working together, and the net result is more than anyone would have on their own if they did that same work on their own. And some of the examples is, like, for example, the value of building a local network, and of having a local network and access to local people who need certain training or skills or whatever. And we as Makerspaces have this network, and we don't often have the way to monetize it, because we don't have the scale that anyone's interested in that. But if you think of, like, an overseas funded project where they're wanting 10 different locations and they want to reach 10 different communities, each one of us brings a community, and suddenly the value is much more than what we can get now on our own. So yeah, my point is just to look at the partnership as much as you can, what you can give back, and be a good partner, because in time that will pay dividends.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. There were so many takeaways from what you outlined. Keen to see obviously the outcome of the exercise you are busy with Anna regarding this part. So yeah, but thanks for sharing that. We'll be looking out for that. Anna, I do see you wanted to come in. Please go ahead.
Yeah, just very briefly, we'll be sharing a bit about that tomorrow on the cohort call to get some input and feedback on what we've done so far.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Colleagues, we are out of time, and unfortunately, and I think it's important that we respect this time. I am keen to hand back over to Anna shortly so she can conclude. But thank you so much for coming, but also sharing your experiences, with us. I do, like I've indicated earlier on, have many things that I've taken from the discussions. There are many lessons that I've taken from the different work that you are doing in the space, and I appreciate you for sharing. But thank you so much for the time. Thanks also, Anna and the team, Rebecca, for allowing me to facilitate this one. I'll hand back over to you.
Thank you so much, Nelson, for your excellent facilitation. Thank you for sharing so much richly about your experiences at TMG, and for facilitating the discussion so that we've heard from other people about their experiences. I've also taken a lot away from this discussion, and I know that Rebecca will be working on summarizing some of the learnings and things from this. But yeah, I think it's been a really fantastic discussion. So thank you, Nelson. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all tomorrow.